So you've recently started playing piano and you're trying to learn some of your favorite pop songs that you can play for all your friends, and they'll go, "Wow, that's amazing. How can you just play that?" Or you're a serious classical pianist who's been playing for years and you're trying to do the same thing because, quite frankly, nobody cares that you went to university and you spent hours and hours practicing and memorizing gigantic works, and that you now have student debt. Anyway, you might encounter this issue where you want to learn a pop song, and so you go and look for music online, and you either have to buy a full arrangement of the song that's written out for piano, or you find a kind of a lead sheet that has the lyrics and some chord symbols. Maybe the melody is on there as well, but you're not quite sure what to do with that or what to make of that other than just playing the chords and the melody. So what I'm going to show you today are 5 simple techniques that, with a bit of practice, you can use to come up with your own arrangements of your favorite pop songs. Now, these techniques serve as a basis for you to build upon. I highly recommend you take all of this and experiment and figure out what you like. Before we get into any of the cool stuff I'm about to show you, it's important to really know the melody of the song that you want to learn. In this video, I'm going to use Blinding Lights by The Weeknd as an example. The reason why I chose this song is because I think it's a quintessential pop kind of melody. Yeah. So the original recording is in E flat. But for demonstration purposes, I will be playing it in C, just so that it's easy to follow from a visual standpoint. So there are 4 main melodies we're going to be dealing with here. There's the hook, the verse, the pre-chorus, and the chorus. I highly recommend that you try learning the melodies to pop songs by ear, but you can use timestamps below to replay each of these if you want to follow along for this video. There is a bridge in this song, but it goes by pretty quickly, and these other melodies happen multiple times, so I'm rather going to focus on those sections to demonstrate everything. The hook of the song, that is also in the intro, goes like this. Then we have the verse. Then we have the pre-chorus that starts with an upbeat. And then we have the chorus. Once you've got the melody down, we can now look at the chord progression. So this song, like a lot of pop songs, it just has 4 chords that repeat throughout the song. So we've got D minor, going to A minor, going to C, going to G. In the key of C, this would be chord 2, chord 6, chord 1, and chord 5. So now practice playing through the melody while just holding down the chords so that you can hear how the harmony changes along with the melody. Great, now we can play the song in its basic form. Technique number 1 is adding some rhythm to your left hand. A rhythmical left hand is really important for a sense of groove, which is really important for this style of music. The first thing we're going to do is to just play our left hand on every beat. So in this song we have 4 beats in a bar. So we're just going to play our left hand on every beat, essentially keeping time. So it would go like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Now practice playing through the melody while doing that with your left hand. Once you're comfortable with that, you can experiment with playing on the offbeats with your left hand. So you can establish a kind of a pattern with your left hand. So you could do something like... Now this might be tricky at first, but just take it as slow as you need to and focus on at which point the hands are playing together. So this melody actually starts on an upbeat, meaning before beat 1. So it actually comes in on beat 4. If we were to count this, we would go 1, 2, 3, 4. So we come in on beat 4 with the melody, and then the left hand is with the right hand on beat 1. That's beat 1. And then the left hand has its groove. And then the melody is on beat 4 again, 4, and then on 1 again of the next bar. It might be a good idea to practice this with a metronome if you're struggling. You can also set it to maybe accent the first beat of every bar so that you know where the 1 is every time. If you do this enough, eventually you won't need to practice it every time you learn a new song, so you can add this to a ton of pop songs. Up until now, we've been playing root position chords the entire time, and this leads us to technique 2, which is inversions. So if we look at the first chord, where we're playing D, F, A to form our D minor chord, and this is root position because we have the root of the chord at the bottom of the chord. Now if I move up this D to here, we have first inversion because now the third is at the bottom. I can move this F up as well, and then I will get to second inversion with the fifth at the bottom. And if I do that again, I'm at root position. So an inversion is just the same chord but with the notes rearranged, and we name them according to which note is at the bottom of the chord. If chord inversions are a bit unfamiliar to you, I'm going to be doing a video all about chord inversions and how it completely opens up the keyboard. So hit the little bell thingy next to the like button so that you know when that happens. So the whole point of inversions is to have smooth voice leading, meaning how the notes flow from one chord to the next. So instead of jumping around with our left hand, going D minor all the way down to A, up to C, and then back down to G, we can use inversions and go from a D minor to A minor right over here, and then to C, and then to G. So now practice using inversions along with the rhythmical left hand. That was inversions with your left hand. You can also think about using inversions in your right hand. If I'm playing the melody over here and I know what chord I'm on, I can just think, okay, what can I grab with my right hand that will fit the chord that I'm on? So this is D minor, the first chord. So I can play, for instance, keeping the melody on the top and just playing other chord tones underneath that I can reach with my right hand. So for instance, so I'm playing this F and A because that fits my D minor chord. So you can harmonize the melody like that. And then maybe technique number 3, octaves. You can play the melody in octaves, which will give it a much brighter sound. This is great for like if you get to a big chorus and you want to up the energy a bit, make that melody really stand out. You can also play octaves in the left hand. So an easy way to do that is just play the root notes of every chord. So going from D to A, C, G. And if you play them as tremolos, you add a real sense of drama. Technique number 4, spread left-hand voicings. This can also be called open tenths or open position chords, however you want to name it. All we're going to do here is take the middle note of the chord we're playing and then move it up an octave. So if we take the first chord D minor, take that F, move it up an octave. Now we have this lovely sounding open chord. It has kind of a cinematic quality to it. Okay, so now you can do this exact same thing with inversions. So if we start on the D minor and we went to this inversion of A minor, you can do the same thing with the open chords. So put that note up here, and then on the A minor, the E would be up here. So now we have, okay, so we would have many people will look at this and go, I can't stretch my hands like that. My hands aren't that big. I can't reach. So instead of pulling the tendons apart in your hand and injuring yourself or doing weird things, instead of doing that, just roll the chord. From the bottom, just let go and go up. And you can hold the pedal down to help you, but just roll the chord up and let go of the bottom note. So go up. It's still pretty effective. Okay, technique number 5 is arpeggios. Now, if you're a classical pianist, arpeggios along with scales are like bread and butter to you, right? But if you're not familiar with arpeggios, a quick rundown for you. An arpeggio is basically a broken up chord. So instead of playing a chord, all the notes together like that, we're going to break them up. Now we can play this arpeggio up to the octave, or just past the octave, or up to 2 octaves, and so on. An easy one that works well for a song like this, where we have 4 beats in a bar, is arpeggiating up to 1 note past the octave and then coming back down, so like this. So along with the melody, it would sound like. So what I did there is I played the chords, just added the octave, and then I used the inversions, and I just arpeggiated them to 1 past the octave. So going up and going up. It's just this basic chord, adding the octave, going 1 past the octave. Now you don't have to play all the notes one after the other like that. You can leave some space in between and play a wider, more open chord. So you can do like. Remember the spread left-hand voicing that we did just before this? Well, the way we rolled the chord up like this was basically arpeggiating it, right? Now you can turn something like this into a really beautiful accompaniment if you do. Okay, bonus tips for when you're coming up with your arrangement. Think about your use of register at the keyboard, right? So what I mean by that is how high or how low on the keyboard we're playing. If everything is in the middle register the whole time, it can get a bit boring, you know. That's fine, but then mix that up with maybe starting higher in the register and then working your way down, going back up again. So we can do an intro like. And then mix and match all of the things that we talked about in this video. So you can, for instance, have left hand octaves along with using inversions in your right hand. So something like, or you can have left hand octaves and inversions in the left hand as well. So you can like hit the octave, the root note, and then use the inversion in your left hand for the rhythmical part. So you can go. And then some extra bonus tips, depending on how advanced of a player you are. You can think about adding some of your own melodic material, right? So some improvised stuff in there as well can be cool. So we're in C major here, but we're starting on a D minor chord, okay? And it feels like we want to end on that D minor chord every time. So we go D minor, A, C, and then, so it really feels like the D minor chord is our home base, not really C, even though all the notes come from C major. So what this implies is that we're in a sort of a modal kind of key, right? We're actually in D Dorian. All that means is that we're playing all the notes from C major, but our home base is D and not C. So if you got the C major scale, but play all those notes just starting from D, you get D Dorian. If you're a bit confused right now, I intend to make a whole video dedicated to modes as well. So again, hit the little bell right next to that like button. In my language, we call it a clocky. Hit the clocky right next to the like button. Anyway, okay, so if we have the notes of this scale, we can think of, adding some of our own little runs or lines. Okay, I just made that up on the spot, just thinking of the notes at my disposal. Because we're doing this in C, it's nice and simple because it's just all the white keys. Another scale you can think of using is the pentatonic scale, which is sort of a staple of pop music. So to explain it simply in this context, you just take the scale that we already had now, and you remove the second and sixth degree of the scale. So the second degree is E, and the sixth degree is B. So take those notes away, and then you're left with the D minor pentatonic scale. Now this is really cool to mix into your lines. It sounds really kind of bluesy as well. You can also think of rhythmically and melodically embellishing the melody a little bit. So just the normal hook melody that we have was this, right? Just to recap. But what if I put my own spin on it? So we can do something like... And then lastly, you can think of changing up the harmony a little bit. What if instead of going to the A minor right away, I came up with like a little intro that goes between the D minor to the G? Hopefully I gave you a few useful tools that you can use to come up with your own cool arrangements of pop songs, not feeling kind of stumped when you just see those charts with the lyrics and some chord symbols on top. Yeah, have fun. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. If you loved it, hit the subscribe button. Even if you didn't, hit that subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. Cool. Till the next one. Cheers.